welcome to Energy Matters, sponsored by New Jersey Policy Institute. I'm your host, Jeanette Hoffman. Today, we're diving into New Jersey's energy challenges, high costs, reliability, and the push for clean energy. Standing by is Patrick Migliaccio, Senior VP and COO of New Jersey Natural Gas. He'll share how utilities can innovate with solutions like carbon capture and the Save Green program to keep energy affordable and sustainable. Anthony Russo, President of the Commerce and Industry Association of New Jersey, will weigh in on how energy costs impact businesses and what a new administration in 2026 can do to make New Jersey an energy leader without breaking the bank. But joining us first is Senator Gopal, a leading voice on balancing affordability with green energy policies in Monmouth County. Senator, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. So New Jersey has some of the highest energy costs in the country, and we recently had a big rate increase. Tell me how you're hearing about it in Monmouth County and how it's impacting your constituents.
Yeah, utility costs continue to go up, and obviously it's not a problem unique to New Jersey, but this is a challenge, and it shows why we need to really have an all-hands-on approach. Not just when it comes to things, we think about like electric and solar, but also making sure that there is reliability in gas and also in nuclear. I mean, nuclear is a powerful, reliable, really low carbon source of electricity that has so much environmental and economic benefits. So as I've gone around talking to constituents, is really making sure that New Jersey has a full hands-on approach and that we're doing everything responsibly at the same time, and also making sure we're protecting taxpayers.
Yeah, I mean, so you kind of answered my question, and that's what the biggest policy debate is right now. Like, how do we expand our energy supply while at the same time lowering costs and bringing more green energy onto the grid so we're not buying, energy from places like West Virginia?
It's basically doing that full hand court, all hands on full court press. I mean, it's making sure that we do all of that. I also think we need to look at going after some of our AI centers. We know that a lot of these AI centers coming in are really creating a lot of energy, and I think that they should be held to a different standard. But as far as how they're taxed and what kind of usage they're getting, because that's really hurting the average person. Utility costs are jumping up, and obviously there's a lot I think that the next governor needs to do as far as dealing with PJM and what the state does. But right now it's making sure that we have a full court press, and this is also good for our economic impact, because if we're also talking about nuclear and we're talking about how to use gas in a responsible way, not just making sure that we're going 100% electric, which I don't think is the answer. This also greatly impacts our union members. We've got a lot of plumbers and pipe fitters and a lot of other folks that their livelihoods depend on this. So it's not just about utility costs for me, which is obviously a very, very important piece, but this is also about a lot of jobs that are on the line too. And that's why I'm hopeful that the next governor, next administration really takes a full court press.
Yeah, and we had Assemblyman Wayne D'Angelo on the show not too long ago, and he had similar concerns about jobs, and he talked about those projects too that were important to him.
He's very, very big on batteries, which is another great way to do too. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. You're a proponent for clean energy in New Jersey, but you also worry about practicality and affordability. For example, you sponsored legislation requiring a cost study and a legislative vote before electric heat pumps or stoves could be mandated. You sponsored legislation that would delay electric truck mandates due to cost. And you were the legislature's most vocal critic against taxpayers subsidizing offshore wind. You're not only voting against the bill, but you also called for ORSTED to be sued for fraud. So, talk to me about balancing green energy and the importance of that, but also balancing costs and making sure that taxpayers come first.
Yeah, I'm a proud environmentalist, and I've been supported by a lot of environmental organizations, and they know how I feel on these positions. I've had some really strong debates when I voted against the Orsted bill and when I kind of led on opposition that A, the grid can't handle it, B, the cost is out of control, and C, the tax credits that we're providing for this company without any security. And unfortunately, that's what ended up happening. And we're seeing that across across the place. The number one issue we have to get in control right now is affordability. We can do all of the um, electric vehicle tax credits and try to put up all the charging stations and try to do all these things, but if people can't afford regular things day in and day out, which folks are struggling with right now, we're seeing a real eradication of the middle class. We're seeing the wealthy continue to get wealthier and wealthier, and everybody else kind of fall in the lower end. And I think that it's not just utility and energy costs; it's everything that's expensive right now. As a relates to a lot of things, and now we don't know. We know that obviously a lot of policies after COVID caused a lot of the inflation, but we also don't know the impact of the federal tariffs fully. We're seeing that in some places. So I think all these things are things to think about. I'm happy to see that both candidates for governor, both major party candidates, as I've heard them speak, have said that we need everything on the table, and I think that's going to be important to have that balance.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to have a new administration no matter who wins in 2026. But before that, Governor Murphy said not too long ago that during lame duck session, before the new legislature and governor come in, he's going to work to pass legislation mandating 100% clean energy during that time. So a couple questions for you on that. What does he mean by 100% clean energy by 2035? Does that mean another EV mandate? Or will it be a natural gas ban? And what do you think that means for affordability?
I mean, look, anything he's going to try to do, he's going to have to do with the legislature. And I have not talked to my legislative colleagues, and I don't believe that there's a lot of concerns with the 2035 number. It's a very arbitrary date, and I'd like to see, we're all for getting to 100% clean, renewable energy. Everybody wants to do that, obviously, but you have to do it responsibly. You have to do it to make sure we don't impact small businesses and families. You have to make sure that we're not adding a cost to school districts and towns and hospitals and everything else. So I'd like to see a more comprehensive approach. And I have not heard the governor say that, and if he said that, I'm looking forward to seeing his details, and I'm sure we in the legislature will look at it and see what's reasonable and what's not.
Yeah, and that would be my question to you, is that do you think that there'll be a legislative buy-in for something like that after we saw such big energy hikes?
I don't think so. I think I don't see why we would do that at this point. Right now, our number one issue in the state is affordability and how we can make sure that we are solving the energy challenges, not creating more mandates.
Yeah, well, thank you. You've certainly been a voice for affordability and common sense while balancing the importance of green energy and making sure we have an adequate supply. Thanks, Senator Gopal. I hope you'll come back and talk to us soon.
Thanks so much.
My next guest is Patrick Migliaccio, Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, New Jersey Natural Gas. Well, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is an exciting time. It's widely acknowledged that we need more energy to control our costs, maintain our resilience and reliability. So what is the role, and more importantly, the potential opportunity for the natural gas utilities to be part of this big solution?
Yeah, so I think we play a tremendous role in delivering the energy to homes and businesses in the state of New Jersey. In our service territory, which is principally Monmouth, Ocean, and Morris, we deliver to 75% of the homes in our service territory. That number is pretty consistent across the state. We've invested north of $17 billion in the state in the energy infrastructure.
Wow.
And we can continue to use that underground energy delivery system to continue to support the energy needs of the state. And I think probably the bigger opportunity, though, lies in energy efficiency.
Yeah.
It is truly what I describe as a triple win. So anytime we can reduce the number of molecules of gas or the electrons that a customer uses, that not only translates into better outcomes for them, lower bills and lower emissions, but also more broadly creates space for us to support growth and economic development on the existing infrastructure we have today.
Well, that's great. And so when we talk about these types of solutions and innovation within the natural gas utility, what are some of the technologies that you're actively looking to both maintain for affordability, but also keep us on a path of reducing emissions in New Jersey?
Yeah, so it's really exciting. One of the earliest projects that we had was a hydrogen fueling station. We are blending hydrogen into our underground energy delivery system and delivering that to customers in Howell, New Jersey. That was the earliest. And then more recently, we've been focused on carbon capture, which is something that I'm personally very excited about. We have one in our corporate headquarters. It captures the flue gas that would normally go out the building, recycles that, and preheats the water that we use, in addition to capturing the carbon in that flue gas. And another in Operations Center in Lakewood, which basically scrubs the inside air, reduces the amount of outside air we need to bring in and condition, and results in an energy efficiency savings. So in both cases, these are energy efficiency measures that are being done at our buildings.
So you talked about carbon capture, and we saw your utility recently announced several different carbon capture technologies that it has adopted. Can you go into more detail about this announcement, and what does it mean for your business and for New Jersey Natural Gas customers?
Sure. The one I think you most recently saw was at our facility in Lakewood, New Jersey.
Right.
We worked with a company called Carbon Reform. And this is a unit that attaches to our HVAC system. It scrubs the volatile organic compounds out of the air in addition to the carbon. As a result of that, we don't have to bring in outside air and then condition it, heat it, or cool it.
Okay.
And so the early results have been promising. We're seeing energy reductions of somewhere between 20 to 50%. Our other installation is in our corporate headquarters in Wall, New Jersey. That's a Carbon X carbon capture unit. That is also capturing, as I mentioned, the flue gas. It's preheating the water that we use in the building, but also binding the carbon with a material called potassium bicarbonate, which can be used in soap. What's so exciting about this is you're not only, in both cases, have an energy efficiency measure that can reduce customers' bills, but you also have this circular economy, if you will, where we're taking that end product. In the case of Carbon Reform, it goes into concrete or cement. In the case of Clean O2 or Carbon X, it goes into soap. And so that's really exciting for our commercial customers in particular, because they now have an opportunity to both reduce their emissions, but also at the end of the day, reduce their costs.
That's exciting. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about these two projects. But big picture, what is the overall vision for carbon capture? Do you see a world where residents can adopt this technology, or is it more of like a commercial scale solution?
Yeah, so today it is focused on commercial. And candidly, that's a great opportunity for us because although our service territory is 93% residential, 7% commercial, those 7% commercial customers are responsible for somewhere between 20 to 25% of the emissions. Wow. And so let's start there. And then over time, much in the same way, we've got the computing power in our pocket that used to take up a room this size. We can see technology play a role, downsize these commercial scale technologies into a residential application. And candidly, I would love if, 10 years from now, or maybe even sooner, I take a canister of carbon down to the curb, just like I do my cardboard or my plastic, right?
Wow.
Right. That's the ultimate vision.
It's like recycling carbon.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Wow. That would be really neat.
Yeah, it would be.
So, okay, let's go back to energy efficiency, because that seems like a significant near-term solution for residents across the state. Can you elaborate on your company's Save Green program,
Sure.
how that works for customers and how they can participate?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is a program that we've had in existence for actually going on 16 years now. Started in 2009. And it is wonderful because, as I mentioned earlier, it helps us help customers reduce funds. But really only about 20% of our customers have taken advantage of it. We just celebrated a significant milestone this past year. 100,000 customers have run through the program, which is only about 20% of our footprint. So the program takes many forms. So for a homeowner, it could be we help you get a rebate for a furnace or an air conditioning unit or some combination of the both that results in energy reduction. Or for larger customers, we can help finance larger packages of engineered solutions. So the first step, though, is getting in touch with us. So we can conduct an assessment or a home energy audit. And that can be done at our website, www.savegreen.com. From there, once we make the assessment, we're able to make rebates, financing, and other packages of things available to customers. And we stay with you every step of the way, right? From the inception of the audit all the way to the end installation. We have contractors you can work with. They're not our contractors, but they're recommended contractors.
And how do customers know that they're saving money? Can they see it on their bill?
They can see on the bill. Yeah, it's
great.
I'm going to say it's a fairly linear relationship, right? So you see the reduction in therms, in our case, the gas we deliver, and on average, customers see north of 20% savings on their bill.
Wow, well, everybody wants to save money in New Jersey. Affordability is a huge issue. And speaking of affordability, we have a governor's race going on right now, and a new administration is coming in 2026. No matter who wins, Jack Ciattarelli or Mikey Sherrill, there's going to be big changes. I'm not going to ask you to predict the winner, because nobody can do that. But so what advice, I'll ask you to give some advice to the new administration when it comes to making energy more affordable, reliable, and secure for New Jersey residents?
Yeah, so for me, it comes back to energy efficiency, right? It really is that intersection of the ability to drive down costs for both consumers and businesses, also help the state meet emissions reductions goals, and create better outcomes for everyone. And as I mentioned earlier, to the extent we can use less molecules, use less electrons, that creates space for us to support growth and economic development without the need for building infrastructure. And there's no question we need more infrastructure, right? But at the end of the day, the more we can do in energy efficiency, the more space we can create.
Well, that sounds great. I mean, energy policy is going to be a hot issue, in the next couple of months, but certainly in 2026. And
yeah, no doubt.
We really appreciate your input and hope you'll come back soon.
Great, we'll do, thanks.
Thanks. Coming up, Anthony Russo, president of the Commerce and Industry Association of New Jersey, reveals how skyrocketing energy costs are impacting businesses statewide. He'll also share ideas for a balanced energy policy that keeps New Jersey competitive. Welcome back to Energy Matters. Joining me now is Anthony Russo, president of the Commerce and Industry Association of New Jersey. Thanks so much for joining me.
And thanks for having me, Jeanette.
Yeah, no problem. So let's talk about energy affordability. A huge topic here in New Jersey,
Yes.
right? You represent businesses large and small throughout the state of New Jersey. I'm sure that energy costs is one of their biggest concerns these days. What are you hearing from your members about how energy prices are affecting their hiring, investment, and overall growth here?
So I'll give you anecdotally. Just about 2 weeks ago, one of our manufacturers, it's a women-owned business, and she sees me at a meeting and she's like, Tony, my June electrical bill was $13,000. In July, it jumped to $22,000.
Wow.
So almost doubled. Right?
Yeah,
so
it's more
you
than
can see
20%.
that,
yeah.
Yeah, so whether you're a manufacturer or you're running a warehouse, energy is the number one issue, right? The cost, I think it surprised a lot of people. And that's the issue that really needs to be resolved just to get costs back under control. Because it does impact the bottom line, right? If you don't budget for it, like she didn't budget for it, she had no idea that it was going to jump like almost double the cost. So for her, it's an added burden that she either is going to have to slow down hiring, she's going to have to slow down capital improvements until she can figure out when this is going to be resolved. And what we're hearing in Trenton is that this is not going to happen. The fix isn't going to happen in a year or two. This is going to take some time because of the whole PJM grid and how it works and the fact that we shut down a lot of power plants and demand is through the roof, right, with artificial intelligence and data centers. And so the government needs to step in, Trenton needs to step in, but also PJM needs to step in.
And so you brought up a really good point that this business owner is a manufacturing facility. There's been a huge effort in New Jersey to recruit more manufacturing back to the state. But talk about how manufacturers rely so much on electricity versus other businesses.
Yeah, I mean, so power is their number one need, right? If you really think about whether you make a product, and it could be anything. And what one manufacturer told me a long time ago, when you run a manufacturing plant, it's not when you were growing up or when I was growing up. People think of manufacturing as the smokestack, right? Those days are gone, right? It's all state-of-the-art equipment. State-of-the-art equipment needs power. So for them, the manufacturers, the number one issue for them is the energy, and really controlling those costs are number one. So, and look, PSE&G is a member, Atlantic City Electric and JCP&L. They all do a great job. This goes back to what the grid is and how just power is distributed. And so for them, if we're ever going to get to a point where we can grow as an economy, manufacturers are the base. I just went to Manufacturing Day on Friday. They had over 1,000 people there. Both Jack Ciattarelli and Mikey Sherrill were there. So it's the number one issue. They actually both talked about it too.
And so tell me how business organizations like the Commerce and Industry Association of New Jersey, how are you advocating for a more balanced, common sense approach to energy policy so we can lower our rates and we can bring manufacturing back to New Jersey?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we're proud of at CINJ is the fact that we do have a Trenton office. That really distinguishes us from a Chamber of Commerce in that we do take an active role in Trenton. We do advocate both Democrats, Republicans. I think it has to start with the incoming governor. They have to have an energy plan that includes natural gas, nuclear, some other technologies. You can't rely on wind. You can't rely on solar. I mean, I actually looked it up on the PJM grid. 45% of the power that feeds into PJM, the 13 states and the District of Columbia, is actually 45% is natural gas.
Wow.
You look at solar, it's 1%, 2%. So is the solution solar? No. But we do have companies that are in the solar business. That's good, but you can't avoid, I think, natural gas. And then the big item that gets us excited, especially when I talk to our manufacturers, is the small modular nuclear reactors, right? Like you see on a submarine. I think we could start doing those kind of things to help offset the power demand.
Right, because green energy is important, but it's not going to get us there right away, and reliability is...
And it's expensive.
Right. And so talk to me, I talked to a reporter from a business magazine, and he said one of the most read stories that he's reported on regarding energy is mandates. Businesses can't stand energy mandates because they drive up costs and they're inflexible. Do you find that you get the same reaction in your organization? Yeah,
I mean, we do. I mean, when I talk to our companies, and again, not just manufacturers, but this electric mandate for 2035 was just, it should be off the table. It is off the table, I heard. It's just, it's expensive, but if you look at, we're all about free market economy.
Right.
Right, that's what our mantra is at CINJ, so let the markets decide. And it's pretty clear if you look at the last 5 years, the market has said hybrid and not all electric. Besides all electric cars, way more electric trucks. So we pushed back on, New Jersey was ready to adopt or has adopted the California Clean Truck Rule, which would require dealerships to start selling all electric 18-wheelers. So the fact is we don't have the infrastructure to charge them.
Right.
They're heavier, which means more damage to the roadways. So this is an issue that needs to be planned out in advance, and there needs to be that deliberation between stakeholders so this way it's done the right way. And again, should there be a balance, right, with electric and non-electric? Yes. And that's what our members are telling us, is that we can't have these mandates because we just don't have the infrastructure and the costs are going to be high.
Well, hopefully the next governor will also get that message.
We've delivered it to both of them. So.
I'm sure you have. Yeah. Speaking of bills that would cost a lot of money to consumers and businesses, I want to talk about a bill pending in the New Jersey legislature that's a copycat of what New York recently passed. It's called the Climate Superfund legislation. And New York passed this law holding energy producers financially liable for decades of emissions. If New Jersey were to follow that model, how would this affect the state's business climate, especially with energy costs already among the highest in the nation, as we talked about?
I mean, it would be disastrous, right, to just be very blunt and candid about it. I mean, it's a money grab. If you think about it, these companies, these oil companies that have operated with permits years past have done nothing wrong. They played with the regulations, they've complied, and now to say, we're going to do retroactive damages where we're going to collect money. I look at it this way, Jeanette. Money investment will go where there's least resistance.
Yeah.
It's like water. It's going to follow a path of least resistance. This bill goes through in New Jersey like New York and it becomes law. It's going to really scare away a lot of investment because, again, companies want that certainty. You know, if you complied with the laws, if you had all the right permits and you did all the compliance, and now years later you're going to have this liability that's going to go retroactive, it'll be disastrous, and it's really a money grab.
And yeah, not to mention this bill does nothing to lower emissions.
Correct.
And does nothing
to help the environment.
Exactly.
Right. It's purely a monetary, hey, we should go back after these companies for something that, you know, I guess the proponents are saying that, you know, they polluted and I don't like that word because, again, these companies have done everything the right way through their permits, which, by the way, were issued by the DEP and by the EPA.
Right.
I mean, I used to work at the DEP. I know that they're complicated permits. There's technologies that these companies put in place to clean up the air to meet the standards. So now, all these years later, to say, by the way, we're going to do this climate superfund thing, it really makes no sense, and it really it's really going to harm, I think, the economy if it goes through.
Well, and not to mention, we're already competing with neighboring states like New York and Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania has a lower business tax, they have a lower income tax, and lower tax climate overall. So.
And in today's world, with technology, you don't have to be located in a state to actually run a lot of businesses.
That's a
and
really
so
good
that's
point.
why you got to really, and especially where we are, I mean, we really try to tell our legislators and lawmakers and regulators that, again, work with industry because we're your partners. When you think about the taxes that are collected, right? The three common denominators, I think of the sales tax, gross income tax, and the corporate business tax is all private sector jobs. So the more companies that come into New Jersey, the more your tax base is going to grow. Money comes in, it helps the state, it helps the economy, helps people, give them a great quality of life. And sometimes that message falls on deaf ears. So.
Well, let's hope that our future leaders are listening.
Yes.
But just last point I wanted to ask you, with the new administration coming in 2026, how can New Jersey position itself as an energy leader without driving up prices?
I think, like what I was mentioning, I went to a hearing in the summer down at Point Pleasant where both the Assembly and the Senate Environment Committees met to hear these opportunities. Should we bring in, again, nuclear, bring back natural gas, open up more power plants? I think that has to be the solution, right? And again, if you're going to do anything with electric, is the infrastructure there? What are the costs going to be? And you have to be competitive.
Well, that makes perfect sense to me, and we really appreciate you being here, and we hope you'll come back.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Thanks for coming. Thanks. That does it for today. I'm Jeanette Hoffman. Thanks for watching.